Let's get one thing clear before we go any further. I don't care much for people, never really did. Don't take it personal, rookie. You're sitting there, big-eyed with that crisp notebook, probably thinking I'm some grizzled old relic with a grudge. Maybe you're right, but I've earned that right. 37 seasons up this mountain, I'll do that to a man. Stay long enough, just you and the wind and birds and the rest of the world. It starts fading, like static behind dusty glass. You don't bother wiping clean. Call me Clive. I return every spring, not 'cause I need to, not for the check. Rangers like us, we're not in it for the money. I come back 'cause someone's gotta be here. Someone who still remembers what this place is, what it gives, and what it takes. You'll see it all soon enough. You will, but for now you're sitting across from me in this weathered cabin with shiny boots, a crisp new patch, and that look like you're chasing glory. Maybe you are. I had that same look back in, what was it, 88? I was 23 then, probably like you now. Thought I was in for calm, quiet, something easy. The woods taught me fast. But I won't get into that just yet. You only just arrived, so we'll ease in. People always say I seem like I was carved for this place. I suppose that's fair. I'm lean now, I know. My bones are steel, my skin's turned to bark, my shoulders pop when I stretch. You heard that one. And my knee acts up when rains do. I'd say rain's about 3 days out. I keep it simple. One pack, one radio, a mug that's seen more than you, and a cot that still smells of cedar from when I made it. No TV, no signal. The station's got a big bookshelf we're free to use, full of classics, though half are missing pages. When the snow melts and flowers push through the ash, that's when I make the hike. Every single year, and I stay till the frost bites again. That's the rhythm of things, like breath, like a slow, steady exhale across the summer heat. And when there's a greenhorn like you, well, then I've got someone to share with. Someone to hand off my stories to, not the ones buried in that training binder. No, not the checklist garbage they toss at you during onboarding. I'm talking about the true ones, the kind of tales that cling to your soul like wet clay long after you've gone. See, most people think fire lookouts are just eyes with a pulse. Sit in a tower, scan for smoke, make the call, and sure, that's what the paperwork says. But these peaks, they're older than your shiny patch. Older than mine, too. And they've got their own ways of watching back, their own methods of deciding who stays. I've seen rookies cycle through like seasons. Some can't hack even one. Some bail early. One vanished barefoot into the night. Another wandered the ridge and never returned. All they ever found was his journal tucked beneath a mound of stones. Nothing more. But I'm getting ahead of myself again. Let's keep it steady, like I promised. You and me. We've got a full season to kill. Might as well get acquainted. Let me tell you about this tower. See, Tower L7A was never designed for all-year duty. It wasn't crafted for ease, efficiency, or even visibility. The views are laughable. Too many blind turns, too many hollows you can't see without stepping out of the structure itself. The roads in are trash. Washed out switchbacks no rig can tackle past mid-August. The whole base is tilted, the power lines. Chewed to hell by squirrels, damn squirrels. Happens more than you'd guess. And when the wind gets playful, the outhouse doors fly open like they've got something to say. So no, this wasn't built with brains. It wasn't about smart logistics. It's something else entirely. You won't see it on any chart. not in the Forest Service database unless you know the exact drawer and what phrases they buried beneath all those abbreviations. But I've been here too long to pretend. The surveyors who picked this patch, they didn't bring tools, didn't carry compasses either. Old-timers say they came hauling scraps of hide and cloth bundles, muttering nonsense and refusing to speak any coordinates aloud. When they settled on the place, they circled it with salt and animal bones, rabbits mostly, but some parts didn't match anything I've ever known. Later, someone stuck in a post, then a platform, then the tower. Officially, L7A is a lookout for the northern zone. Off the books, it's a containment site, one final barrier between federal woods and something else. I used to roll my eyes at that. In my second season, I got curious. If you dig deep enough, the silence starts to speak. You'll find it buried between logs and memos if you know where to look. Most of the old-timers who manned this post before me never left official reports, but they kept journals. And those journals are riddled with warnings, subtle ones at first, a wristwatch that ran backward, faces vanishing from old Polaroids, a scorched ring of earth past the eastern trailhead that reappeared every year no matter how often it was torn up. One ranger claimed he saw the same group of hikers daily for an entire week. Same faces, same gear, same scab on the dad's arm. They started calling it the pass-through. Not a portal, not a doorway, just a soft edge, a loose thread in the fabric of things where realities bleed quietly. They swore this was the place where the dead come strolling back, wrapped in borrowed flesh, where limping animals head east not to perish, but to return, altered, where an old photo, a bitten apple, or a keepsake placed carelessly can unravel something barely held together. They say it's rare, maybe once each season, maybe less. But when it comes, the harm is silent, and it lingers. That's why I return each spring. I don't like being the final wall, but I've seen the cost of absence. Every logbook entry, every odd rule. Someone earned it the hard way. Someone ignored the signs, and the woods came to claim what was due. I know what that sounds like. I know this feels like too much, too soon, but it's the raw truth. You're not posted up here to stop fires from spreading. You're here to make sure whatever's inside these trees stays put, and that you make it through without leaving a piece behind. Easier said than done. When folks break protocol, they bleed, they vanish, get lost, fracture bones. Sometimes they turn up miles away, no boots, no bag. Sometimes they never turn up again. That happens, but that's not the worst part. The worst part is when they do return, and something's off. Not obvious at first, just slightly wrong. The way they speak, the way they stare too long without blinking, how they forget what they shouldn't and recall what they never knew. That's when you realize something followed them back, or something stayed behind. This place isn't haunted. It's not cursed either. But it is strange. Strange enough to stop calling it chance. Sometimes it's harmless. Tools vanish. Trails bend in ways they didn't before. Sometimes it's not. Rangers get turned around, injured, swear they're in a spot they've never seen, though they've hiked it countless times. The tower, it gets in your head if you let it. L7A has a reputation. That's all you need. Things happen here that don't happen anywhere else. Once your season begins, you're a part of that story, rules or not. If you want to make it to the end in one piece, you'll follow the rules, starting with the first rule number 1. Don't eat wild fruit. Not ever. I've seen it happen 3 times, 3 too many. The first was my second year, end of July. Dry air, clear sun. One of those days where flies cling to sweat and your shirt crusts with salt. I was new then, still thought the worst danger was lightning or a wind-driven fire. The rookie I had was Lucas, laid-back guy, always whistled without noticing. It drove me nuts. He brought a fishing rod up here, thought there'd be a stream near the tower. I told him 3 times. There wasn't. Still, he wandered off past the boundary lines, convinced he'd bring back something to cook on the camp stove. Instead, he returned with a pocket full of fruit. Looked like apples, small, smooth, pale green streaked with red. He held one out. I said no, didn't give him a reason, just kept flipping pages in the logbook. He shrugged, bit in, didn't finish. Tossed the core in the tin sink and turned in early. By dawn, he was already forgetting. Not the big stuff, just the little things. His locker code, my name, what day it was. He asked me the same thing 4 times before lunch. That's when I started keeping a close eye. Over the next 3 days, he slowed down, quieter, like someone had muted the world inside him. He'd just sit and stare across the ridgeline for hours. Didn't move. I asked how he felt. He said fine, but couldn't look me in the eye. Said everything tasted like dirt, even the instant coffee he used to love. By the 5th day, he'd gone silent. On the 6th, I woke up and he was just gone. No gear, no note, tower door wide open. I followed the tracks best I could. They went east. Everything bad out here heads east. We found him 2 weeks later, or most of him. He was sitting upright under an ash tree near a dry creek. Still, like he'd just taken a break. Blank face, eyes open but dry and cracked. The weirdest part wasn't the body. It was the circle. Tiny white stones stacked clean around him. A perfect ring, like a line drawn in warning. His nameplate was missing. So was his notebook. I filed the report. They said exposure, dehydration, but I knew better. No berries, no apples, no wild pears. That's the rule. If it didn't arrive in a crate, keep it out of your mouth. That means the orange ones that look like tiny tangerines. The fuzzy red things. Even the shiny black seeds in clumps by the water. Don't touch them. The juice stains your fingers. You'll scrub till they bleed, and it still won't come off. The forest marks you when you eat the fruit, not in spirit, in law. It's like old village guest rights. Eat their food, live by their rules. Doesn't matter if you don't know them. You agreed. You're on their turf. Take a bite, and the forest takes you. Old rangers said the trees remember thieves. They don't move, don't whisper, but they never forget. Next time you pass beneath those limbs, they lean, just enough to remind you you owe them something. It's an old law, not one from any book. Older, I don't even know how it began. I just know it plays out like that Greek myth, the one they teach you in high school. Yeah, the pomegranate. Hades, his bride. You remember how it ends. She barely ate any, just a nibble. And that sealed her fate. She couldn't walk out of the underworld after that. A little taste stole that sweet girl's freedom. That's the forest for you. Eat the fruit and the door opens. Doesn't matter if it was by accident. Doesn't matter if your stomach was empty. Doesn't even matter if you spit it out. The moment your teeth break the skin, the forest knows you. You stop being a visitor. You become part of the place. And the rules change when you belong. Even people who know the trails by heart lose their way. they'll take a wrong turn and end up where no trail ever existed. Sometimes they stop sleeping, just sit up, staring at the trees like something's coming for them. Other times they get sick, bleeding noses, pounding heads, sudden nausea, stuff the med team can't fix. Watches break, compasses go haywire. One ranger thought the rules were dumb, thought the berries looked like the ones back home, ate a couple. 2 days later, he was dizzy, forgetting what people said mid-sentence. He logged the same entry 3 times and didn't notice. By the 4th day, he was blacking out, waking up in the woods, no clue how he got there. Whole nights gone from his head. He started barricading himself in the tower. Didn't help. Got worse. Cuts on his arms. No memory. His hand shook too bad to write. Day 6, he radioed for transfer. We never got another word from him. No records, no notice. I searched the logs. Nothing. Like he'd been erased. He wasn't the first and won't be the last. The fruit will call to you. It always does. Some nights the hours stretch on forever, and you'll start craving something real. A break from cans, from powdered eggs. You'll see those little berries glowing softly in the moonlight and think they look harmless. Don't be a fool. They're not. They're a trap. And this place doesn't care about your second chances. If you're starving, boil some pine bark. I don't know, eat dandelions. Tear up your journal and chew the pulp if it comes to that, but don't touch the fruit. If it's the only option, just starve. You're already a little heavy, so call it a detox. You'll feel awful, sure, weak, aching, headaches, trembling hands. But you'll still be you. You'll still think clearly. You'll still be able to walk out when your season's done. Eat from this forest, and that changes. Don't tempt fate. Don't take that risk. Never eat fruit found in the wild. And now, rule 2. Don't bring personal things into the tower. I always tell rookies to pack light. Really light. Leave anything sentimental behind. No photos. No keepsakes from family. Not letters, trinkets, nothing tied to the world outside this job. The tower's not the place for that. I know it sounds strange. You'll be out here for weeks, maybe months, and it's only natural to want something that reminds you of home. Something to keep you anchored. But that's the trap. It does the opposite. It ties you to the wrong place. Once you bring something personal into the tower, you're not just passing through anymore. You're marking yourself as a permanent fixture. You're setting up camp in a place that doesn't want you here. And it changes how this place treats you. I didn't believe it when I first started. No one does. But then I brought a picture, just a small one, wallet-sized, a photo of my brother and me when we were kids. I put it above my desk, told myself it was for morale, something to keep me grounded when the long shift started getting to me. Within a week, something felt wrong. I started forgetting simple things, radio check times, log entries I'd written that morning, whether I'd locked the hatch. Nothing huge at first, just a little more scatterbrained than usual. Then came the long moments where I'd catch myself staring out the window, not knowing why. I wasn't watching for smoke or scanning the terrain. I was zoning out for minutes, and it didn't stop. Before long, I started dreaming about the tower, even while I was still in it. I couldn't tell if I was asleep or awake. I couldn't remember packing my meals or writing the reports in my own handwriting. Felt like I was becoming a part of the routine, not from fatigue, not isolation. It felt like something wanted me to just stay on autopilot. When the season ended, I left the picture behind without thinking. Realized it halfway down the mountain. I hiked back up the next day, but when I opened the drawer, it was gone. I tore everything apart looking for it. Floorboards, desk drawers, cot lining, even the latrine. Gone. Clean. When I came back the next spring, I found it tucked behind the pages of the incident logbook. A book no one's supposed to touch in the off-season, but there it was, exactly where it shouldn't be. And that's when I started listening to the stories. A ranger once mentioned a bracelet his daughter had made for him. He called it his lucky charm, a reminder of why he took the job. Halfway through the season, he started having issues with his hands, couldn't hold a pen. He said they hurt like arthritis, though he was barely in his 30s. Then he began dropping things, tools, coffee mugs, even a lit match once. He swore it wasn't the altitude or fatigue. He said it felt like his arms weren't listening to him anymore, like they were moving on their own. He left early, no warning, just packed up and hiked down in the middle of a rainstorm. He never came back. I checked his locker the next season. It was empty, except for that bracelet right in the center of the floor. We've had other cases, too. Another guy brought his wedding ring, wore it on a chain around his neck. He said he only took it off when chopping wood. He said it helped him feel normal. By the end of the season, he couldn't sleep unless he was lying on the floor. He said the cot didn't feel right. He forgot how to use the radio. Started misreading the maps. He kept telling me he saw someone standing in the trees. We did a sweep. Nothing. A week later, he left during a supply drop. Didn't even grab his pack. Just walked into the woods, gone. I'm not saying these objects are cursed. I'm saying they don't belong here. This isn't your home. This isn't your house. You're meant to pass through, do your job, and leave. When you bring something that holds real meaning, something tied to your life, you're inviting this place to notice you, to remember you. And it does. People don't think land can do that, but land has memory, just not in the way we think. Think about the places you've lived. Some of them feel right, don't they? Some don't. Some rooms you walk into, and you immediately know you're not wanted. The same goes for the tower. It knows the difference between someone doing a job and someone trying to settle in. The second you start making it personal, the tower pulls you in. And once that happens, well, you'll find yourself unable to leave. Not because something holds you here, but because you won't want to. You'll forget why you came. You'll lose track of time. Home will feel distant. Some rangers forget who they were outside this job. It doesn't start that way. That's how it ends. So here's the deal, all right? Keep your pack simple. Food, clothes, a radio, and a paperback from the station shelf. That's it. No photos, no mementos, nothing from before. Leave your life at the trailhead. Pick it back up when you head down. Don't bring anything personal into the tower. Rule number 3, don't photograph the deer. There's a rule here, a rule that's more important than most. Never, ever photograph the deer. I don't mean the usual don't feed the wildlife kind of warning they slap on brochures or trail signs. This isn't about safety or science. It's about respect, about not messing with things you don't understand. It's about knowing when something isn't yours to touch. And more importantly, it's not yours to see. Not through a lens, not through glass, and definitely not through something that captures a moment that was never meant to be frozen. There's a reason I don't bring a camera up here. It's not because I don't care about the views. You can't live in a fire tower and not appreciate what you see. Some mornings, when the sun rises from the valley like it's being pulled from the depths of the earth, it'll steal your breath away. Even after all these years, even after all the things I've seen, the light turns the whole ridge to gold, and for a moment it feels like the world is starting fresh. But still, I don't take pictures, especially not of a deer. The reason's not superstition. It's a truth that's older than the tower itself, older than the maps that claim to define this place's borders. The people who lived here long before the fire service ever stuck a metal pole into the soil. Before towers, badges, radios, before any of that, they knew this rule. It was never written down in a handbook or pinned to a tree. It was something you learned, passed through stories, warnings, and stern looks when curiosity went too far. They had a name for the deer that show up near the tower. They aren't fully of this world, and they shouldn't be here longer than necessary. There's something about them that we don't understand, something that makes keeping them here wrong. Taking a picture of one, trapping its image in glass, film, or digital memory is interrupting its journey. It's not just disrespectful, it's a form of theft. You stop its passage, prevent it from finishing whatever it's supposed to do. You turn its paws into a prison, and that comes with consequences. Real ones. We used to think that taking a picture only upset the animals, that they get scared like most prey. But that's not how it works. The deer don't run when you point a lens at them. They wait, they watch, and then they do something worse. Those who ignore this rule, who take the photo anyway, don't just risk scaring an animal. They risk something far worse, a reversal. Here's what I mean. When you capture the deer's image, you make your own image vulnerable. It's like an exchange, a disturbance of balance. The forest doesn't forget. And the next time someone looks for you, what they find might not exactly be you anymore. There's history in that. Tyler was one of the first rangers to break the rule. It was the summer of the 90s. He brought an old Kodak camera up the trail and began snapping pictures of everything, trees, clouds, birds, but mostly the deer, a whole roll of them. According to the logs, he even converted the washroom into a dark room to develop the film himself. That was his third week. 3 days after he finished developing the photos, Tyler was gone. Nobody saw him leave. The tower door was wide open. His boots were missing, but everything else was left behind. There were no signs of a struggle, no blood, nothing broken, just gone. When the response team went up to check, all they found was a crushed camera lens, shattered as if stomped or bitten. The film he left behind was warped. Some images were blackened, scorched. Others showed outlines where the deer should have been, but the shapes didn't align right. 2 weeks later, someone saw Tyler near Lake Green, or at least someone who resembled Tyler, covered in grime, walking barefoot, clothes hanging off him like they no longer fit. His eyes were unnaturally wide. His skin appeared drained, as if all color had been scrubbed away. He moved like he wasn't familiar with his own body. Witnesses said his mouth kept twitching, opening and closing, as though he couldn't remember how to speak. That wasn't Tyler. Not exactly. But it wore his face. A week later, he attacked his co-ranger. No argument, no struggle. He just walked across the room and began stabbing. Then he ran straight into the woods, and no one saw him again. His tracks vanished after 50 yards. No scent trail, nothing. That's the part people never seem to understand. It's not just about someone disappearing after you take their picture. Sometimes something else returns instead. And when it does, it plays the role well enough to deceive. Same badge, same boots, same habits almost, until it cracks, until something breaks. I've seen the aftermath too many times. So if someone goes missing up here and they return, don't just be relieved. Take a closer look, because if they brought something back with them, or if they are what came back, you'll know. Not immediately, but you'll know. So remember the rule. Never photograph the deer. Never. Rule number 4. Don't track injured animals past the 3rd ridge. There's a part of the forest you're not supposed to cross, starting at the 3rd ridge. You'll recognize it when you reach it, not by a sign or because the trees look different, but because the birds fall silent. Everything becomes unnervingly still. Trails don't align with the maps. Your compass may start to falter. After enough time out here, you'll understand what it means. That's a boundary. Not just a physical one, but a cultural one too. A long-held line that predates this tower, the ranger stations, and even the roads that cut through these hills. The people who lived here before us had rules about that ridge. Not just advice, but rules. The stories passed down weren't merely for entertainment. They were meant to keep people alive. According to local tradition, tribal legends that span generations, the land east of the 3rd ridge isn't ordinary. It's not wild in the untamed sense. It's wild in a spiritual sense. It belongs to something else entirely. They believed that after death, a spirit didn't simply disappear. It had to make a journey back. That's what they called it. Not a metaphor, but a real journey the soul had to complete. And the land beyond the ridge was part of that path. They saw it as a place in between. Not quite the world of the living, but not fully the afterlife either. And it wasn't just for humans, it was for animals as well, especially those who were hurt or killed in violence or who didn't die peacefully. They believed that when an animal is injured and still has the strength to reach the east of that boundary, it's not just running to hide. It's going back to where it belongs. They didn't try to stop it. They didn't follow. And they sure as hell didn't try to finish it off. They didn't explain it with spirits or monsters. It was simpler than that. They said that some animals, when wounded, begin to change, and if you see one cross that ridge, it's already stopped being what you thought it was. It's no longer prey. So, when you're out on your route, and you see an animal bleeding and moving slowly, and it starts heading east, remember this. It doesn't matter how hurt it seems, or if you think it's suffering. Once it crosses the 3rd ridge, it's not yours anymore. Don't touch it, don't track it, don't do anything. Just turn around and leave it alone. Do not track wounded animals beyond the 3rd ridge. Just let them go. Well, that's it. Those are the rules I have for you. You follow each one, all right? Follow them exactly, and you keep following them until the season is over and your boots are back on the pavement. I know how it sounds. Some of these probably didn't sit well with you. Maybe they felt like superstition, or like they were stories from another time. But out here, the stories are how we learned what worked and what didn't, what kept people safe, and what got them written out of the logs. The stories came first. The rules came later. Each one was written by someone who saw what happens when that line is crossed. This job, when you respect it, is one of the best out there. The quiet is real. The beauty is real. There are nights when the sky cracks wide open and you'll swear you've never seen stars that bright. There are mornings when the trees go still and you can hear a hawk circling miles away, and that feeling will stick with you for the rest of your life. That's enough. You're not here to take control. You're here to observe, to listen, to wait. Your job is to report the fires. You log the details. You check your boots for ticks. You do your part, and then you leave in one piece. That's the deal. If you're fortunate and you pay attention, you'll finish your season with a notebook full of ordinary days, the kind nobody ever tells stories about. That's what you want. That means you did it right. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's keep going. The sun's almost down. Grab your jacket, fill the thermos. I'll get the radio warmed up. We've got our patrol ahead, and it's going to be a long night. Hey, I hope you liked the story. I had a great time with this one. If you want to become a member on Patreon, there's a link in the description. We do early access. So, we offer early access, and it's audiobook style, no music, no sound effects. It's pretty cool. It's different. Second channel, there should finally be a new story up. It's been a while because I moved, so everything's a bit of a mess. But when this video comes out, there should be a new true story video up by now. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all the support. Hope everyone's doing well.